George Salamis, President and CEO of Integra Resources.
George, good to see you. I know you're down at the BMO conference, pretty busy down there. I mean, a lot of people down there, right?
Oh, indeed, yeah. I think it's a record attendance from an investor perspective too, which is good news.
It's good news, yeah. Okay. I'm sure we'll talk in the next few weeks about M&A and other types of activity to spin out of this. But for now, you've just put out an announcement today. Give me the headlines, and then we'll have a little chat about it.
Yeah, indeed. So this morning we put out our 2026 guidance, our 3-year outlook highlighting production and growth at Florida Canyon, looking out 3 years. We decided to be bold and take a sort of longer look on guidance from a production perspective anyway. So essentially 2026 is about building capacity today at Florida Canyon to deliver more ounces, stronger cash flow, lower costs tomorrow. That's essentially the messaging from the news release.
I mean, has the market actually, I know it hasn't been much time, it hasn't been out long, but what's the initial reaction been?
Yeah, it's only been out for a few hours now. However, the discussions I've had with a number of the analysts who cover us, my sense is, a fair number of them have had us, in their models at 70 to 75,000 ounces per annum in perpetuity. So I do believe that this sort of guidance range, looking out, 2 years out to 80 to 90,000 ounces per year in 2027 and another 80 to 90,000 ounces in 2028. That was a surprise, but it was a positive surprise to them because, again, I don't think that they had modeled that much production from us in a matter of a year or two from now.
Right, okay, because people aren't going to be looking initially at the AISC. We're talking about, 2750 to 2950. It looks high.
Yeah, it is high. Again, we're going through another year of high stripping, but again, that's essentially to set ourselves up for 2 really strong years of production, 2 years out. That high AISC is basically delivering something in the order of 80 to 90,000 ounces a year production in 2027 and 2028. I'm sure that's something that our investors were not expecting from a production perspective, looking that far out.
No, well, looking 3 years out, I guess kind of helps people understand what's happening this year. So when you say this year is about kind of setting yourself up for success next year, what's giving you the confidence operationally or technically that you're going to be able to deliver on that?
So it's a revised mine plan essentially that we're looking at. It's not dissimilar from the tech report that was filed by the previous owners of Florida Canyon. I mean, we were expecting, again, 2025, 2026 to look like 70 to 75,000 ounces per year at a relatively high cost. But obviously, selling into prevailing gold prices, which is still very good and it provides lots of margin. But again, that these 2 years were set up years for what was going to be, pretty spectacular years looking out sort of 2-3 years in front of us. What's driving AISC now is essentially the stripping campaigns that we have to get through that are occurring ahead of accessing ore on the central pit, which is one of the largest ore bodies at Florida Canyon. It happens to come with higher grades. Once we get through that stripping in 2026, we're into much lower stripping, presumably much lower costs because of that reduced stripping rate, much less waste stripping, more ore mining, haulage, and ore to the pads for those years. Again, we've got some fleet renewal to do, some reliability spending to do on the existing fleet. So there are a bunch of things that we need to spend money on, but that cost should come down materially in 2027 and 2028.
Okay, so the sustaining capital, you talk about 62, 68 million bucks. Again, initially that kind of looks big. So how much of the growth profile that you're talking about is kind of locked in, and how much is it yet to be executed on? Where's the risk?
Well, in terms of being locked in, I mean, essentially most of that sustaining capital is stripping, right? And that we have to do to get to the central pit ore body essentially. So that is locked in. There's no risk to that because we know what's ore and what's waste. We've got a well-defined mine plan there. In terms of the rest of the sustaining capital initiatives, that's essentially fleet. And again, that's locked in. We know what that's going to cost. So that's relatively set. And then kind of the remaining bits and pieces are, minor tweaks to the met circuit, some minor, smaller scale equipment for the mining operation. All of that's locked in. We don't expect any sort of cost creep from any of that sort of range of $60 to $70 million of sustaining capital for this year.
Okay, so and people are going to be looking at this stripping happening this year. It does tend to suggest a kind of short mine life. I mean, what are we looking at?
Yeah, we don't look at it as a short mine life. I mean, this is an operation that was once regarded as basically done a few years ago. We still have 5 years sitting in front of us in terms of mine life. The feasibility study that we'll be putting out in a few months from now on Florida Canyon will show a much longer mine life. And so, again, don't read this as, this is a last minute sort of, Hail Mary pass into the end zone of desperation. This is a setup for 2 years of really good production. Higher production than certainly we've been used to.
Right. Okay. So what's the message here? What do I need to understand? You're saying, look, this is a kind of structural investment for future benefits to the company. How do we begin to start, or how do we start to understand the actual economics in terms of what that does to your cash balance, and then what do you do with that cash balance? Is this running, hamster wheel standing still, or will you be able to kind of build up that kind of cash reserve?
Yeah, so the stripping program in front of us is designed to extend and not consume mine life, right? So it's a setup. This stripping sets up multiple future mining areas for us that will be more robust and certainly higher grade than what we've been mining up to now for the past, just over a year now. In terms of what happens next at the mining operation, again, it's kind of strip now, aiming at stable production later, and the stripping is an investment in the future. I forgot what your other question was.
No, I'm just trying to say, because for me, it's always about cash build up, and then what you're going to be able to do with that cash, right? Because otherwise, some mining companies just they generate cash to plow straight back in the ground, and they're not building up a kind of defense in the form of cash.
Well, I mean, in terms of our current cash position for the company, I think it now sits at over $110 million, something like that, in the treasury, maybe a bit more. We've got 60 to 70 to spend on the asset. That leaves plenty of free cash. And yes, there will be free cash flow, from Florida Canyon that will continue to get built up in the treasury over time. The view is obviously to build up as large of a cash position in the treasury as we can, so as to finance Delamar, the equity piece anyway, in another 2 years from now. And we think that we can get to that finish line pretty handily with a very robust treasury.
And what do we understand today about the kind of extending that life mine in terms of known mineralization now, and what work are you doing to kind of extend that mineralization or known mineralization?
Yeah, so we've been drilling a lot of meters. We continue to drill a lot of meters. We'll be putting out a news release pretty soon on what exploration looks like at Florida Canyon for the year. But again, I think our successes of 2025 really demonstrated where the upside is at Florida Canyon. The really sort of immediate ounces to be produced soon that are being found with the drill bit right now. Things like the low-grade stockpiles around the mine site. Those are really landing quite well. We should be able to get a lot of that 50 million odd tons of material into a mine plan for this upcoming feasibility study. And again, just that low-grade sort of waste pile, which is now ore. We do believe it will become ore in the next study. Just that alone adds 2 years. So we're talking 5 to 7. And then the various bits and pieces around the mine site as well that we've defined, again, with the drill bit, extensions of existing zones, that should add mine life as well. So I don't think we're talking any longer about a 5-year long mine life. We're talking about something well in excess of that. And investors will see that in a few months' time with the updated feasibility study.
Okay, so there's a kind of like peak investment year this year.
Peak investment this year for sure.
Okay, so if we're going back to the expenditure on fleet, for instance, is this just like for like, or is this going to be new but more efficient, and therefore again helping drive those costs down?
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of new equipment, and there are a few equipment rebuilds that we have to do over the course of the year.
Right.
That are planned currently.
Okay. And just in terms of the cash flow, I know you've got a lot in the bank, but you just raised some money, right? So in terms of that growing of the capital, from the work that you're doing, that'll come next year, is that what you're saying?
Well, so the growth capital with respect to Florida Canyon, most of that will be spent this year. In terms of growth capital to be deployed on things like Delamar, for example, this year as well looks like a year of early works, ordering and purchasing of long lead time items to prepare ourselves for full-on development of Delamar in 2028. So yeah, there are really two fronts to major expenditures this year. One is Florida Canyon, which is we've got plenty of cash to do that from cash flow, and then from this raise that we just did, that those funds will be deployed specifically to Delamar in the form of early works programs on site.
I mean, so I've got to ask this question, right? It's like, I think there's an expectation that you would be financing all future development from your cash balance and cash flow. You chose to raise some money. Why?
Yeah, we did, and that question did come up, Matt, in the guise of the last $60 million raise that we closed a few weeks ago. We could have financed Delamar early works from Florida Canyon cash flow, and we could have financed everything that we needed to do at the same time at Florida Canyon as well. However, I mean, the view from our perspective was we're a one asset producer. Why on earth would we stress our one producing asset, that asset that's going to fund a lot of things for us going forward? Why would we put that asset at risk to that level by putting that much stress on it, pulling cash out of it to fund Delamar and its early works, a year and a half before we get the record of decision? Why would we do that? Instead, why not go down the road of tapping the investment demand in Integra in the form of 12 brand new institutions who wanted to own our stock after we have risen 300 to 400% in the last 2 years? Why not choose that route? In our view, it was kind of a no-brainer, far less risky to go down that path after having had that share price ride, as I mentioned, 300 to 400% ultimately.
Well, now your job's going to need to be to prove that that's going to be a good return on invested capital, depending on how you allocate it. Do you feel that that money is going to the best place it could?
Definitely. I mean, so things like the ranch purchase, for example, that's a testament to, one of the immediate needs that we had to deploy some capital on. But in the guise of how we're being viewed from a valuation perspective, Matt, we are, I would say, most of our value is Florida Canyon right now in the eyes of Mr. Market. And we're while there's a lot of value at Delamar, there's $1.8 billion of NPV5 sitting there right now. The market is expecting us to de-risk that value in steps to get it permitted. And by deploying that capital, this early works capital, long lead items, et cetera, to de-risk Delamar, we feel that will just add confidence that not only will Delamar get permitted, but it'll actually get built.
There was an announcement recently about the acquisition of some land property. What does that do for Delamar?
Yeah, so fortuitously, there was a ranch that came up for sale, which kind of sits, it sort of bisects the project. It sits between the Delamar deposit itself and where we have proposed heap leach operations planned for development in another 2 years from now. It's a very large tract of land. It's about 6,600 acres, so 10 square miles. It's a big piece of land. So fortuitously, it came up for sale. We purchased it for $12.5 million. It does a number of great things for the asset in terms of de-risking. It comes with senior water rights, for example. The Delamar mine itself, in terms of our feasibility plan, showcased enough water to support the operation at 35,000 tons per day of heap leaching. However, God forbid, with the way things are heading with respect to climate change, if we were to ever suffer 2 years worth of drought, let's just say, for example, we would run short on water, and that wouldn't be a good thing from a mining perspective. So this ranch comes with more than ample water rights that we could use as a backup plan to the feasibilities which shows that we have ample water at Delamar. So it comes with that benefit. The second piece too, as well, in terms of what we plan to do at Delamar in terms of our project build, we'll be obviously disturbing some of the wetlands in and around Delamar in our development and operating process. There are numerous mitigation opportunities that this ranch comes with. So in other words, what we disturb here, we can mitigate against over here with the purchase of this ranch land. So it comes with those benefits. And the third benefit is it makes us a stakeholder as well amongst the ranching community of Hawaii County in that part of Idaho. So, and I could go on and on with the other ancillary benefits that this
What
comes.
about timelines? Okay, obviously permitting timelines potentially shortcuts that, but what about kind of confidence around kind of like NEPA approval?
I mean, this doesn't shorten the NEPA process. The ranch purchase doesn't shorten it. All it does is it shores it up, if you will, in terms of our ability to point to areas where we can do a lot of remediation work outside of the footprint of Delamar to balance against what we're going to be developing on in another 2-3 years from now.
Is that really worth $12.5 million?
Oh, it sure is. It sure is. Yeah, it sure is.
In what way?
Well, so think about it this way, Matt. For every year that we're, let's just say, not producing, let's just say again, God forbid that we go through a drought period at some point in the future and the mine is shut down from operation. That's $200 million of lost cash flow alone in 1 year. Right, so that pays for a lot of $12.5 million of ranch land in of itself. Ultimately, that's a really easy way to look at things.
Okay, and one final one, because it kind of came up after our last interview, which was, at what point does this company, assuming nothing else changes, no other further acquisition, at what point does this company become truly self-sustaining and there's no more raising of capital and dilution?
Well, again, if the gold prices hang in where they're at now, our expectation is we will have a robust enough treasury to get to the finish line on the equity contribution that Delamar comes with in terms of the project build. The $380 odd million, some of that will be covered with debt. In the future, we'll start to have those debt discussions in the second half of this year. But one would assume that if the gold price hangs in there, with the margins that we're reporting now and even stronger margins again in 2027, 2028, which is when we'll really need a lot of this cash, we could effectively get to the finish line without major dilution for the project build.
Okay, and obviously this year's you're doing the PFS on Nevada North as well. How are things going there?
Yeah, we'll be, again, putting out some guidance on what that study looks like in March sometime. It's going to be a fair amount of drilling, again, so that all of those costs have been discussed in the guidance news release, which we put out today.
Okay. Look, I know you've got a conference to get down back to this, so I appreciate that. Enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah,
I'm not jealous at all.
You're not? Well, given that we'll be indoors for the next, whatever it is, 72 hours, I don't know if we'll see much sun, but there you go. It should be a pretty buoyant conference. I don't think, I certainly have never attended a conference like this, of this scope, at $5,000 an ounce plus. Should be interesting.